All right, another tier list coming up. We're going with Alex Garland this time, who is someone who I think, love him or hate him, you have to kind of admire the willingness he has to take chances. And all of his concepts are very unique and original. And while they don't always work for me, I do love how you go to see an Alex Garland movie in theaters, you're seeing something usually unlike anything else you have seen. Maybe with some exceptions, which we can get into. I should start off before we get into the tier list, just kind of explaining which movies I decided to put on this tier list. I decided to go with 8 total movies. The 4 he directed, Ex Machina, Annihilation, Men, and Civil War, kind of went without saying. But it was actually a little bit tricky to kind of narrow down which ones I should put on the list. There are some, he made a show called Devs, which I haven't seen. Decided not to include that on the list. I wasn't going to watch a whole series for this. We're sticking with movies for the tier list. Also, there were some times where it's like he had a writer credit on certain movies, but I don't know how much of a hand he really had in that movie. So what I decided to do, how I decided to cut it off, is the 4 movies he has written and directed, along with what I thought were the other movies that you kind of have to, if you're telling the story of Alex Garland, you kind of have to also mention that he wrote these movies. So that was The Beach, 28 Days Later, Sunshine, and Dread. And so, yeah, without further ado, let's just get into the list, and I'm going to go in chronological order this time. I thought that could be fun. The Beach is the first one we're going to discuss, which I had never seen before. I watched because of this tier list, and, I have to say, I'm glad I watched it. It was an entertaining movie. I don't think it's a flawed movie. It's a flawed movie. There's a lot of parts that really don't work for me. Leonardo DiCaprio, at some point, if you haven't seen it, is mimicking being in like a Crash Bandicoot style video game, and like to have with the effects and everything going around him. It's a bit of a weird movie. I don't think it's perfect, but I have to say, I was kind of surprised at how much fun I had watching it. The first half of the movie, I was kind of fully in, and I feel like every first half of a movie Garland has made, I've been in. Some lose me towards the end, but I feel like early on I tend to be pretty into it. This one I was as well, even with its sort of cheesiness and all. And I think the reason why I had to put it on the list, so it's worth mentioning, Garland didn't really have anything to do with the movie itself. So why did I put it on the list? Well, so he wrote the book, The Beach, which this was based on, and while he didn't write the screenplay, I believe he does have a screenplay credit, though, but I don't believe he wrote the screenplay. This started his relationship with director Danny Boyle, who we will now discuss at the next 2. So for The Beach itself, I'm going to put in one to forget, although I still think it's fun. I would recommend it if it's on. I don't think it's on a streaming service now. I believe it's on Stars. I got the free trial for Stars to watch it, which I canceled right away. I don't really have any interest in that streaming service. But just did the free trial to watch The Beach. But if you have Stars and you have a couple hours to kill, I'd recommend it. But it's not. If there's other movies on this list you haven't seen, I'd check those ones out first. 28 Days Later is obviously one of the more well-known movies. Just kind of, I feel like, for really, you talk about Danny Boyle and Alex Garland's relationship, which it's kind of weird. They only actually made 2 movies together. It feels like they made so much more. Although, again, part of that is The Beach was also kind of, here on the list. But 28 Days Later is a film that, I think I need to. Admittedly, I do need to give it a rewatch. I haven't seen it in a bit, so that's part of the issue. But I think it's still a very strong movie and still very much holds, from what I remember, it's very good. I think that it's something where Garland has always been interested in kind of the fall of civilization. We've seen that in a lot of his movies, and this is definitely what this movie is about. I don't think he even really cared about zombies when he made this movie, and to the point where they're not even called zombies, right? It's like the rage virus. Throughout a lot of the marketing, they weren't calling it zombies. They were kind of like not saying the word. I think partially because that was kind of viewed as more of like a B movie type thing. But a really fun movie. I don't know how everyone else views it, but I'm going to put it in the box set. I think it's very strong. I do need to give it a rewatch, though. And then we have Sunshine, which for me, Sunshine is a masterpiece. I love Sunshine. I've kind of considered maybe at some point I'll make kind of a video about that, as I'm still experimenting, figuring out exactly what this channel is, which, by the way, now that I bring it up, I should mention, hey, if you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps me out. I would appreciate it. But, trying to get the subscriber numbers up at some point. But anyway, back to Sunshine. I just think it's a masterpiece in raising stakes. I mean, the things that happen in the movie to cause more stakes is fantastic, and the way it continues to do it, and the way it kind of builds dread throughout the movie. I know a lot of people are turned off by the ending of the movie. I am not. I think it works for me. I'm going to put on the obituary, if you haven't seen Sunshine, you have to see Sunshine. One of the best soundtracks, or I should say best scores to a movie of all time. Absolutely incredible. I just think it's great, and it's a shame more people don't talk about it, because I really think it's a really good movie. I think that it kind of, in a lot of ways, set the tone for what Interstellar would then go on and create. And to me, I like Sunshine more. I know that some people prefer Interstellar, but my opinion is I really think that Sunshine does a good job at just keeping it grounded, despite its very ungrounded plot of we got to send a nuke into the sun to keep the sun going. Okay, once you get past that, the movie really does work, I think. So yeah, to me, that's an obituary film. I think it's great. Not everyone will have it there, but I have it there. And then we get to Dread, which is another one I should watch again. I think I might even have on Blu-ray somewhere. I'm not sure. I was looking at my Blu-ray shelf. That's what I was while I was glancing over. I like Dread. I think it's a really fun movie. I don't think I can quite put it in the, definitely can't put it on the obituary. Don't think I can put it in the box set either, but I think still very good. Feels like a good spot for this movie. I think that it is a fun movie. I don't know if it's a lot more than that, but I don't think it's trying to be a lot more than that. Now, again, Dredd kind of has a bit of a history with Garland, as the rumor is he essentially directed the movie. I don't know how true that is. You know how I feel about rumors. Who knows? But again, if that's true, or even the fact that there's that rumor out there, could make it easier for a studio to say, okay, you know what? We'll give you a bag of money to go make your movie. And he was able to turn that into a directorial debut, which is Ex Machina, which maybe quite spoiler alert, I think is his best directed movie. I think Sunshine's the best movie he had a hand in, but Ex Machina would be my favorite out of the directed movies. I think it's really good. I think that the general vibes of the movie, which is really hard to get down, especially as a first-time director, really work for me. I think kind of the themes it's exploring, because, I think the critique of Garland sometimes is that he's someone who will make it seem like he's exploring deeper themes, but in reality isn't really, and there isn't a lot going on behind the surface. And at times that is the case. I don't think that's always the case. I think in Ex Machina that is not the case. I think there is a lot going on behind the scenes, and I do think there is a lot of meaning towards it. And I think just the plot in general and just the general story really works incredibly well. I think it's hard to tell the story of Alex Garland without Ex Machina, and it's probably his best movie he's directed, in my opinion. 3 movies left to talk about. We have Annihilation next on the list, which I think some people are a lot higher on than I am. There's just some things that bug me about it. I don't know. I hated the beginning when they spoil the whole movie. Everyone talks about how great these scenes are. The bear scene is so great. The bear scene is great, but I knew what was going to happen because you told me what was going to happen right at the beginning. You told me who was going to live and who was going to die. I don't know why you made that decision, because it takes away so much of the suspense throughout the movie, and I wasn't feeling that much suspense. Maybe if on a rewatch it might work better. I also remember not loving the coloring, the color grading of how it was supposed to look all artificial, but to me it just kind of looked like artificial color grading, which was that's just how I saw it personally. Maybe I know it worked for other people. Some of the stuff was super cool though. I like the alligator that had mixed DNA, or the person with stuff moving in their body. I gotta give it a rewatch. It's in the box set. It's great. There's a lot of great stuff in there. I just there's a couple of those couple things bug me enough, and they bug me so much because I love so much of the rest of the movie that I think it bugs me more than it otherwise would have. So yeah, that's how I view that. Let's move on to Men, which is easily his most generally disliked movie, I think is fair to say. There are people who love the film Men. There are people who will stand by it. There are men out there, men and women, I guess, out there. I am neither of those. I am not a fan of Men. Again, there's parts of Men I think are really great. I think like really, again, I said the first half of all these movies work for me. First half of this movie really works for me. I think it's actually really cool. But then it's just like, I feel like it just isn't going anywhere. And it's one of those things where if you're going to make it sort of a metaphorical, it's all about what things represent type of movie, that's fine. Some of my favorite movies are those kind of movies, but I have to care about what these things represent. I have to be in. And the first half of the movie, I was only caring about the traditional narrative. So once you shift to the traditional narrative is out the window, this is all metaphorical, it's a little jarring. But if I care about the metaphorical, I can still make it work. But like, I don't know, just some of the stuff doesn't work for me. Like the guy giving birth to himself thing. When I watch it, like I've heard people say, no, it's because like it's a cycle, and if men give birth to other men, it perpetuates the cycle, and I'm kind of just like, okay, like I don't fully get what the point of it that was. Like, that's not part of the narrative at all. I'd rather you just kind of tell me a story than that. Personally, I don't know. That's just kind of how I viewed it. So I don't know. It was a weird movie. I didn't like it. I think it's one of those things where I'm in between One to Forget or Oh God for me. I think the thing is, I feel like there's enough good in there. I would probably usually put it in One to Forget, but I think it's just kind of the logic of like, if you have a guy give birth to himself over and over again, if it works, it's going to be awesome. If it doesn't work, it's always going to be oh God. When you take a swing that big, that's where it's going to end up. Now, again, I totally admire the swing. I think it's great that he tried something like that. I want to see more directors try things like that. As I said, that's one of my favorite traits about Alex Garland. That being said, I do think this was a misfire, which it happens. It's hard to make a good movie, and it's really hard to make a good like art house movie. You're going to have some misses in there. It is what it is. Finally, last but not least, Civil War, movie I just saw in theaters, so it is very fresh in my mind. A movie I enjoyed. I think it's a flawed movie. I don't think it's perfect. And like I said, kind of the metaphorical stuff. If you watch, I have a whole review out, so if you haven't seen that yet, check that out. But I think it's fair to say it is an imperfect film, but there's still stuff I really like. Like some of this, like that Jesse Plemons scene was amazing. I thought it was great. So I can't quite put it on the obituary or in the box set, but it's going to go in still very good. So, for me, again, Garland, someone I'm a fan of. You look at his 8 movies I decided to talk about. 6 of them ended up me having positive feelings about, and one of the ones I didn't, in the One to Forget, The Beach, I still would say I'd give it a positive. I don't know if I'd give it like a positive score on like or on like Letterboxd or whatever, but like I still think it's an entertaining watch, and he had nothing to do with it. He just wrote the book, so like you can't blame him for it. And from what I understand, the book is very good. The only one I thought was a misfire was Men, but it was still like, yeah, when you take that big of a swing, you're gonna have some misfires. So yeah, if I had to kind of rank the films, I think something like, I think that rank would be right. Where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that feels good to me. With Sunshine at number 1. Sunshine's great. Go watch Sunshine. If you haven't seen Sunshine, come on. Do me a favor. Just be careful. I think if you buy the Blu-ray, I'm pretty sure a lot of the Blu-rays have an issue where the commentary is stuck on. So I want to buy the Blu-ray of Sunshine, but I can't because apparently all the Blu-rays got corrupted and only play it with DVD commentary in the corner of the screen playing while the movie plays, so can't do that. But I don't know. That one's very good. And again, all these movies really creative. So yeah, that is my Alex Garland tier list. What do you think? What do you disagree with, or not even disagree with? Because that doesn't really make sense, right? These are my opinions on the movies. So I guess what is your opinion compared to mine? Is maybe the better way to phrase it. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.